Hi all, this is Priyadashni working as an assistant professor in the Department of Artificial Intelligence and Data Science. Today we are going to continue with the next lecture series on deep learning. The topic for today is your GAN, the Generative Adversarial Networks. If you could imagine, a machine could create more realistic images, that is, or fake, but even though you could not even find whether those images are fake. Sounds like science fiction, right? But this is what exactly the generative adversarial networks or the GANs do. From creating multiple human faces, or if you need to do any artistic work, or even if you have to produce some deep fakes, this technology, the GAN technology, is ruling over the world. Now in this video, let's see how does the GANs work, the working principle of GAN, the components that makes the GAN network, and we are going to see some limitations. So, generative adversarial network GANs consists of two models. One is your generator, the other one is your discriminator. So, these two models compete with each other to learn and replicate the patterns and variations in the data set so that in order to avoid your mode collapse. So, let's see the working principle of GAN. As I told you, there are two components in GAN. The first one is called the generator. So the working principle of generator is that it generates fake images by getting the feedback from the discriminator, which is the second component. So when you take a random input, if you pass on to the generator, it creates the fake samples. So this fake sample is then being fed to the discriminator, and also remember that from the real databases you will be getting the real images as samples, and that also will be forwarded to the discriminator. So after seeing the real and the fake images, the discriminator gives feedback to the generator. So if the discriminator could not find whether it is a fake image, then the generator is working on very perfectly. So this is the training thing of a generator. So this loop continues until the generator generates images which cannot be predicted by the discriminator. That is, the generator has to fool the discriminator by making images so realistic. The next component in the GAN is discriminator. So the discriminator in a GAN, it is a classifier or it is an evaluator. So the discriminator is nothing but the evaluator that identifies real data from the fake data generated by the generator. So the discriminator's work is to evaluate the generator's work whether it is a real or a fake one. It has to give the output whether it is yes the real or no the fake. So this is how the discriminator work. So here in discriminator network, you will be getting the samples both from the database, the real images from the database, as well as the fake images being generated by the generator, which will be forwarded to the discriminator to predict the output whether it is real or it is fake or not real. Now let's see the discriminator training part. So for the discriminator network, you will get the real images and the generated images from the generator. It will be passed on to the discriminator. Then it predicts whether it is a genuine image or not a genuine image. So this part will be continued until it gets the discriminator improves a lot. So for whenever a generator sends an image, it will try to predict whether it is real or fake. The generator wins the game when it evaluates that the generated sample is a fake one. So let us understand the generator and the discriminator on a whole. The generator, it generates the data so as to fool the discriminator, while the discriminator work is to catch the thief, that it has to catch the generator that it has not produced the real one. So in turn, if this model back propagates and if the weights are updated and if the training happens a lot, then the generator will be creating more realistic images, and the discriminator also will be saying whether, and the discriminator also will evaluate whether it is a real image or a fake image. Let's see the working condition of the GAN. So it consists of two main components, generator and discriminator. So first let's see how does a discriminator work. So discriminator work is to evaluate whether it is a real or the fake ones. Now consider a database has having 100 rupees image data set. So this will be passed on to the discriminator network for training, and then it will be trained, and then this, when it sees these type of images, it gives the output as real. Whereas in generator, the noise vector also been added to the image generation, and it passed on to the generator network on the first step. So it produces some fake images. Then these fake images are taken to the discriminator to fool them. So now the discriminator will try to understand or evaluate it as fake news. So with this feedback, again the generator tries to again generates images until when the discriminator cannot find whether it is fake images. So here it is the zero sum game. The discriminator and the generator works very well due to the continuous process of training. So this is the working architecture of